Welcome to another edition of Influence Today with Chet, Tart, and Terry Lyles. Terry, it's always an honor and pleasure to talk with you. And you have had nothing but a race car life here recently with all the books you've written and the new one called Invaluable,
Becoming invaluable.
Becoming Invaluable.
Right.
I just can't wait to pick up the book and read it and also give it to my Vistage members.
Yeah,
I understand that you've been on the road a lot also promoting the book, but you've now become a member of Vistage, Florida.
that's correct.
Oh, Vistage Worldwide, I should say.
Worldwide. Yes.
Yes, Vistage is an interesting unit in itself. I am so happy that I'm a Vistage chair. And I got to tell you something, it has been rewarding for me, and it's like a fire hose of information.
Hmm.
And what makes Vistage unique over anybody else is that, first of all the chairs used to own a business. So the chairs are not, somebody they picked up as a motivational speaker, because there's a lot of them. And they're not just coaches. They've actually owned businesses and been through what we go through as leaders. The second thing, it's an exclusive confidential peer advisory group. And I think you've noticed that. It's all confidential. Everyone in the group is unique and they have a different business, but everyone has the same problems, we noticed. The second one is one-on-one coaching. After we meet, we hold them accountable, and I come around and coach them and talk to them. And we have massive amounts of training on coaching with the Vistage Group every quarter here in Florida, once a year worldwide in San Diego or Nashville, wherever we want to meet. And also we have monthly updates on coaching and one-on-ones constantly. The other thing is where you're part of this is worldwide speakers. Each one of us has a speaker 8 times a year come to our Vistage group. Maybe you want to talk about that. We started together doing the podcast, and I said, hey, I need a speaker for one of my Vistage groups. And you said, okay, I'll volunteer.
Yes.
Then you volunteered at another Vistage group here in town because they needed a
Yes.
Vistage speaker, and then you became highly recommended, and now you've been traveling. Give us your life story on this ride.
Yeah. Well, it's your fault. I mean, you brought me into this, and I love the concept. I mean, I've had some influence with Young Presidents Association, YPO, and Vistage. I was aware of, but had never really done anything with Vistage, but knew the concept and always loved the concept of what it really is. To hold people accountable, to teach leadership capabilities and responsibilities, and network together. I mean, that's a big part of this is, business owners getting together, and sometimes we just need to get together and complain about everything that we all complain about, which is the same thing that everybody's complaining about. Because if you run a business, we all have the same kind of issues. We have people issues, we have economic issues, we have supply chain issues, we have weather issues. It goes on and on and on. So it's really cool to be able to get leaders in a room together. And my program that I have been using this past year and into this year is called Performance Under Pressure. It was my
Mhm.
previous book before Becoming Invaluable. And we literally do 3 hour in the morning session and breakout. And we literally get into the didactics of what does it take to be a high performance leader, and then train your leadership teams how to do the same thing under your leadership as that leader in the room. And I think it's quite successful because it's really simple, but it cuts to the chase. It gets right down to here's where I'm living, here's where I'm at, here's what I need. Let's work it out together. So we walk out of there at the end of the 3 hour period with a game plan. And, we go over 4 points: who we are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And I challenge everyone to give me at least 1% increase in one or more of those 4 areas, and I can change your business structure around you. I mean, it's that simple. It doesn't take a huge bump. So that's what we do. And yeah, I think I did almost 20 gigs for Vistage coast to coast last year. I probably have 25 on the books, I guess, already for this year for 24. So it has caught on. And I think it's messaging is important right now with all the stress in the world we have. But also, I love the concept. And, I have you to thank to get me in there and show me kind of how it's done.
Let me ask you a question. When you do these Vistage speaking
Mhm.
engagements, is it more performance under pressure or is it more being invaluable?
It's both. because Performance Under Pressure was, like I said, it was my previous book a couple years ago, but that's really like the performance side of it. But the value of it is becoming invaluable. So my new book, Becoming Invaluable, is really, so we talk about both. So I get them to the process to understand who they are as an individual navigator. That's performing under pressure. So I call it I, we, and it. We've talked about this on other podcasts. The I are the individual navigators. The we are our teams. The it is our organizations that we interface I, we, and it with. So we go through that, and then we get into how does one become invaluable? So becoming invaluable is a philosophy of you start your day, you navigate your day, you debrief your day, you celebrate your day. And so we go through both those books since the new book is out as of November of last year. So yeah, it's really interesting, and the feedback has been really, really incredible. I mean, very good. And like I said, I don't do any advertising within Vistage. I mean, people find me, so word of mouth is very powerful. And Business 101 is if you've got a great message or a story and you can help people, as they say, build it, people will come.
Vistage is worldwide. So after you get your feet and you start building cement here, you'll
Yes.
be traveling around the world to other Vistage groups. Maybe you
Yes.
can learn the languages for all these all these countries
Yeah.
that you'll be going to. But
That'd be
Vistage has
cool.
been around a long time. And it's also interesting. Have you noticed going to each individual group, how each group is different? It's really a reflection of the chair, the person running the group. Have you noticed that?
Yes. I mean, the structure is very similar, but you're right. It's all about the personality of the chairperson. And that's the way it should be. I mean, every organization or group has its own personality, and it usually obviously starts from the leadership and goes down. So, whether you're a government agency, whether you're a company, whether you're a church, a support group, a Vistage leader, whatever you are in your leadership, that group takes on your capabilities. It starts reflecting that leader. And I think it's really cool because no two Vistage groups I've been to have been exactly the same. They've all been, I even did one in Northern California in an evening, and they happened to have their spouses with them, and they did a dinner. And then I did my gig after the dinner with them, and it ended up being like a couples retreat with the Vistage people and their spouses and significant others. It was really cool. So, it's like, to your point, every one of these are different. How people set them up, what their needs are in their particular region, and I love that challenge because I love not knowing what's going to happen, and I love negotiating, which is one of the words in the new book. Whatever's coming my way, I try to hit it head on and just work it out where everybody walks out with something they can do that day to start their changes.
We talk about very confidential things at our meeting, and one of our core values is trust. The next core value that I like is it's called carefrontation. It's a word that we made up, like you made up, and it's
Yes.
about caring for the person, but we have to really get into the real issue that they're talking about. Have you noticed that at the groups when you were there? First of all, the trust, the confidentiality, and also the growth only comes with being uncomfortable, with uncomfortable questions. What have you noticed about each group that you go to see?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. I think the uniqueness of Vistage is that as you mentioned, every chair and group leader and leaders that come in all have their own stories. They have their own way of doing their businesses. But when they come to a Vistage meeting, it's like you kind of check that all at the door. Now you're a different group. Now you're an accountability group. And now you're able to share peer to peer, leader to leader, what's really going on in your world. And I think that's so important because in any endeavor that we get involved in, I don't care if you're a coach of the NFL or a race car driver, meeting with other race car drivers, meeting with other NFL coaches, meeting with other CEOs and executives, there's a different flavor there. You don't have to explain yourself. It's almost like we kind of know what everybody's thinking. But when we start saying it together, we're like, wow, you got the same problem I have. Well, how do you deal with it? Well, this is how I deal with it. And you end up with this mixture of brain science that comes out of these meetings, and you walk out and go, I can do that. I had no idea Chet thought like that about that. I never considered doing it that way. So it really becomes a very powerful implosion of ideas and planning on how to solve real issues and problems within all of our individual companies and situations.
That's pretty interesting. I wonder if you noticed this, that in my group, we talk about a couple units besides
Mhm.
just business. We talk about personal stuff, we
Sure.
talk about health, we talk about spirituality, we talk about all those 4, 5 things. And when we check in the beginning, I ask them, where are you on a scale of 1 to 5? What's happening? What's good? What's bad? And that's when we all discuss it. That seems to be very rich in a conversation because people want to discuss things either with their relationship with their son, the relationship with their wife, another fellow worker. I've seen 2 businesses just become totally different in the last year. Become Vistage. They had no core values, they had
Mhm.
no vision, and they were just coming to work every day. Well, he has let some people go, brought in some new people, and flying high. And I think this year, he told me it was a 19.8% increase over the year before because he put in these small things that we talked about. One day we did a business plan, a 1-page business plan. And the guy
Mhm.
who did it had a 15-page one. And he says, uh-oh, I better get back to a 1-page one so my
Yeah.
group understands it. And that conversation just changed the way people do business. I'm amazed when I go on my one-on-ones with each one of them and I talk to them about, so where'd that idea come from? He goes, Vistage, the Vistage meeting. Didn't you listen? So each
Good.
one picks up something different. What
Sure.
have you learned on your travels with the
You
Vistage
know,
groups?
yeah, I think a big part of it is just the uniqueness of the individuality of leaders that are in the room at any given time, whatever city I'm in with Vistage. There are different age groups, there are different business genres. But again, the common core value of what I do is human capital. So I was joking the other day at one of the Vistage meetings here in South Florida, and I said, listen, if everything goes to AI, I won't be out of work necessarily, but I'll probably need to be talking to the programmers who program in the AI because they're going to get stressed out as well. So as long as there's people around, I have stuff to do, because we're all strange at some level. It's just who we are as people. But I think the unique thing is in a Vistage meeting, you can come together. It's like an accountability group. It is. And you come in, you can just say, here's where I'm at. Like you said, it's personal, it's relational, it's occupational. And I think it's a safe zone of learning, sharing, and growing that I think is really, really important. That if you're not a part of a Vistage group or a team, you should look one out. I just recommended somebody do this in another state, several actually, but just last week there
Mhm.
was someone I was talking to in another state, and I said, well, you got to get involved and just find a local chapter, in your area. And they're like, oh, that's a great idea. So I don't even know where all these people end up going, but it doesn't matter. People are hungry for the messaging and the safety of what a Vistage is to their communities and to their constituents.
That's great. I'm curious and a very curious person, and you travel around to all
Mm.
these Vistage groups. I don't know if you picked this up, but you're curious like me. What are some of the questions that they ask you? And what are some of the concerns, issues, considerations when you're doing a presentation? There must be a theme that's going on. And if there isn't, let me know also.
Yeah, well, I mean, my whole talk, like I said, is around performance under pressure, and it's really not a speech. It's not even close to that. It's a
No, I've seen it.
didactic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen it. I mean, it's a didactic breakdown of going through these quadrants of who we are as individual navigators of our world, our life, our bodies, our minds, our families, our businesses, our communities. But I think what's really interesting that I hear a lot coming back is like, how do they take this information and put it into their lives? So I'm a stress doctor by trade. So we talk a lot about stress and gravity, and I use a phrase of suspending gravity in your life. And that doesn't mean getting rid of it. It's suspending it. So everything is stressful. Sitting down too long is stressful, standing up is too long is stressful. So if you do either one of those, you need to swap stress to become recovery. So it really gets kind of confusing until you go like, oh, okay, I get it. Hold your arms up over your head too long. Well, guess what? The blood rushes out of them. You got to drop them. I guarantee I win that battle every time with students in schools. Let's see who can hold their hands up the longest. You hold your arms up, and all of a sudden they're gone, because gravity will get you. So we talk a lot about the stresses and the gravities of what goes on in our businesses, our lives, and our bodies. So a lot of those questions come out of how can I be a better navigator of my own life, my world, and my circumference of influence of business. And the next biggest question I get is, how did you get to Vistage? They ask me. I'm this guy Chet, man. He's a friend of mine. We did TV and radio together for years, and he got me involved. And they're like, how did you get here? I don't know. I have no idea. Your chair contacted them, and they. So I think that's great business because it's fun. And I just see on my calendar just gets dates put in it. So they have so I look up and go, I got 3 more. And, okay, that's cool. So, but it's a great place to network. So one of the questions I have for them is, why are you here this morning?
That's a great question.
You must not have just come to hear me. You're here every time you have a meeting. But why are you here? The question still remains. So we go pretty deeply into why, not how you do your business and your life. Why are you continuing to do it? And if it's not working, what changes do you need to make? And that's what we talk about, is didactically making those changes that they can become better, navigators of their own life and their businesses. And I tell them 1%, change 1% of one of these things. Just give me 1% in one area. And then next month or 2 months, do one more. And if you do that, that's 4%, 5%, like you said, 19% with that one. That's a huge bump in revenue and influence and business. So it doesn't take a lot to get nice return if you make the correct navigation. You make the wrong navigation, you can hit a wall. It's a really bad day on a racetrack.
So you're dealing with the speaker section of Vistage, and there's 2 other sections we didn't touch. I told you about the peer advisor group, which we talk about issues after the speaker leaves. It's confidential. We also do the one-on-one coaching. We got the world-class speakers, and we have 2 sections of speakers. We have the ones that see us in person, and we also have the big ones that don't come, and they do it online for all of us. Like Simon Sinek did that, and we had a few other famed Patrick Lencioni, John Maxwell. They all do it for us. And then we have also I don't know if you realize why you're getting calls. It's the worldwide Vistage web, and everyone talks on it. And if you're a Vistage member, you can talk to anybody. Let's say in a construction business, you can talk to somebody in Denver, you can talk to somebody in Miami, you can talk to somebody in Norway. And it's all on email, and you guys can connect and do that. And that's how your name gets around, because everyone suggests, oh, Terry was here, you should call him. And then you get connected that way. The other thing is that we have a big research department that researches once a month on trends, on finances, what the market's doing, what the prediction's doing. Vistage has partnerships with a lot of people: Futurist, Sandler Sales, PI, Predictive Index. So if you're a Vistage member, you get these things as a discount also, and also it comes part of the package with discount. The other thing is that you also are connected on the web with 23,000 other members, if not more, around the country in 20 countries. What I like about it is that if I need something, I ask a question online, and I'm sure to get 20 to 50 answers in no time at all.
That's awesome.
By the way, if you're in the area and you're listening to this, there's a Boca Summit coming up on Thursday, February 29th. And it's 7:30 to 10:30. It's a full-blown breakfast. We have a speaker, and we do a mini Vistage training. So we show you how Vistage is operating. And you can see it from the issue point. You can see from the speaker point. The speaker this time will be Adam Powers, and he's going to talk about the other side of your limits, both in brand marketing, sales campaigns, and also in your asset management. So he'll be good. So that's February 29th, and it's at the Royal Palm Yacht and Country Club in Boca Raton.
Nice.
So if you're interested in finding out there, and I hope to see you there also, Terry.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, I'll check and see if I'm around. That'd be great. Yeah, again, it's so good to just network and interact with other leaders that are doing what they do. And, as we commonly say on these podcasts, Chet, if you stop learning, you're going away quickly. We have to constantly be learning and reading and studying and investigating and questioning and, just being open. And the biggest part of that, my message is just be open to change. Change can be very difficult because we resist change, but our bodies are constantly changing moment by moment and navigating us as we navigate it. It's probably more it navigating us. We think we're doing more than we really are, but our body through the autonomic nervous system is doing a lot of self-care on a regular basis, keeping your heart running, your eyes blinking, your fluid systems running. There's so much that goes on that we don't have to pay attention to because it's plugged into that autopilot system. So Vistage gives us an opportunity to flip it on manual off autopilot and say, as a group, here's what I'm navigating. What are you doing? So love the opportunity and looking forward to doing more of these. And I know there's a big conference in San Diego coming up into next month. So looking forward to just continuing to network and speak and grow myself as hopefully I can influence others to do that very same thing.
Yeah, it's going to be a big conference. It's worldwide. Everyone from the world shows up. It's in San Diego on the 22nd through the 25th of January of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to meet Marcus Buckingham. I get to meet Patrick Lencioni. I get to meet, sometimes other speakers there I don't know, but then I get to know them and pretty strong. We talk about accountability, how to help accountability. I gotta tell you, the chairs themselves are brilliant. When I meet them and I go, oh, that's how you run the meeting? I need to steal that idea. That's how you run that? Oh, that's a great idea. Oh, that's a
Exactly.
good retreat. We do retreats. And my education has been awesome. We talk about one-on-one accountability. I have
Yeah.
two accountability partners here that I talk to at least every other month. One in Orlando when I go up for my quarterly training up there. And then I have another one that I have to connect with, which are the other chairs, which connect with me on how are you doing, Chet, and what are you doing? We all keep each other accountable. And the education is unbelievable.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's a monthly education and a quarterly in-person education and a yearly worldwide education. How could you beat that if you're hungry? We've learned a lot about health in Vistage also. And we
Yes.
learned a lot about cold plunges and hot steams and exercises. And I got to tell you, it's changed my whole attitude about a
That's
lot of
awesome.
things. I really wish
And
I had joined it a long time ago.
yeah, and we had somebody in one of the locations I was at, and actually it was in South Florida, and I'm just thinking through it now, and he had been a Vistage person, I don't know, 25 years ago, I want to say, and it was called something different, and then it
Tech, it
became
was used to be called tech.
That's it, Tech. So he was a part of Tech. I didn't know what he was talking about, but he was a guest. He came in. I brought him in as a guest of mine. They said, "Hey, that's cool." I said, "Look, this guy lives in your area. He used to be a part of the." So it was a great meeting. He came and he's retired, but he just knows everybody. He was able to share some really cool stories. I've been around forever. He's like in his 70s. He looks like he's 50. Just really cool guy. So it was really interesting to see how somebody that 25 plus years ago was doing this. And I'm sure his retirement is much sweeter because he was able to be a part of a conglomerate like Vistage to sharpen the saw, because iron sharpens iron, right? So you're right. We all should have done this a long time ago, probably sooner, but I'm glad I'm a part of it. I know you are, and looking forward to more of these opportunities to share what we learn and know and grow and meet new people.
Thanks, Terry. Appreciate it. And I'm glad that you're part of Vistage. When you make your rounds, you come back to my group again. I can't wait.
I look forward to it, man. I'm always available. You're the one that got me into this, so I'm always at your disposal. Whatever you need, you let me know. So really appreciate even the podcast today. So looking forward to next come. Great new year in 24.
I look forward to it also. If they want to get in touch with you, Terry, how do they do that?
TerryLyles.com, TerryLyles.com. If you want a copy of the new book, it's on all the platforms, Amazon. You can get it on Books a Million. You can get it at Borders. You can get it wherever you look. But I would ask a favor if you go to Amazon and you like what you read, write a review, share and like it, because we're trying to build that structure up. We've already sold thousands of copies just in 60 days, and it's all just been networking, and people probably don't know this, but the average book will sell less than 1,000 copies.
I didn't
The
know
average,
that.
yep. The like the 1-2% will sell more than 1,000 or 1,500 copies. So we've eclipsed that already just through the holidays, just as a short 2-month period. So we're excited about the year for becoming invaluable as the book. And I think it's a good read, not because I wrote it, but I have a co-author with me that I invited. I'd never done that before, so it's almost like getting married again. But he and I ended up doing it, and it worked. Steve Bowen, great guy, just retired. Changed his life and career, and it's just really cool things. So I really appreciate everybody going to Becoming Invaluable. And you can go there.com or go right to Amazon and get it. And Chet, really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share with our viewers, listeners, what we're doing in our lives. So I've got books coming your way too, by the way.
Good. I promised the staff,
Yes,
the whole group.
good.
Thank you for joining us, Terry, today. Appreciate that. If you need to get in touch with me and talk about Vistage, my information is Chet Tart, which is my email is ctart@vistageflorida.com. Vistage is spelled Vistage, and you know how to spell Florida.com. Thanks a lot. And we look forward to another edition of Influence Today next time. Thanks, Terry.
You're welcome.